The trail is quiet. Too quiet. A narrow path cuts through the towering redwoods of Mount Tamalpais. The only sounds are wind brushing through leaves and distant birds echoing through the forest. A couple walks ahead. They laugh softly, unaware. Behind them, a figure emerges, silent, watching, waiting. A gun clicks. The sound is small, almost insignificant. But in this moment, it changes everything. Somewhere in Northern California, between 1979 and 1981, hiking trails became hunting grounds. The man responsible would come to be known as the Trailside Killer. His name was Joseph Carpenter, a seemingly ordinary man, quiet, unremarkable, blending easily into the crowds of San Francisco. But behind that ordinary exterior was a predator. Between 1979 and 1981, Carpenter terrorized the trails of Northern California. His victims? Hikers, couples, people seeking peace in nature. He targeted them where they felt safest and turned those moments into nightmares. 11th of October, 1980, double murder. On a crisp autumn day, two hikers entered a trail in Mount Tamalpais. They never came back. Their names were Cynthia Morland, age 18, and Richard Stowers, age 19. They were young, full of life, full of plans. Carpenter approached them with a firearm, a .38 caliber handgun. He ordered them into a secluded area. There, he executed both victims. Cold, precise, calculated. This would become his signature. Before this, there were others. Victims whose stories would only later be connected. Ann Alderson, Diane O'Connell, Shauna May, each case shared chilling similarities. Remote hiking locations, sudden ambush, use of a firearm, control through intimidation. In some cases, there were elements of sexual assault, handled with cruelty, but always calculated. Never chaotic, never impulsive. Mid-1981, escalation. The killings didn't stop. They intensified. In 1981, more victims were found. Ellen Marie Hansen, Heather Skaggs. Again, hikers. Again, isolated trails. Again, the same terrifying pattern. By now, Northern California was gripped by fear. Not everyone died, and one survivor would change everything. His name was Steve Hartler. He and his girlfriend were hiking when Carpenter struck. Shots rang out. His girlfriend was killed. Steve was shot in the face, but somehow he survived. Critically injured, barely alive, he became one of the only witnesses to the killer. His testimony would later become crucial. At first, the cases seemed unrelated. Different locations, different victims, different jurisdictions. But something felt connected. Law enforcement in Marin County and Santa Cruz began comparing notes. Patterns emerged. Victims targeted on trails. Similar execution style. Same caliber weapon. The public was terrified. Trails that once bustled with hikers became empty. Families stayed home. Nature became dangerous. Leading the investigation in Marin County was Sheriff Al Howenstein. He knew this wasn't random. This was a serial killer. Investigators began building a case. Piece by piece, the most critical breakthrough came from ballistics. Each crime scene revealed the same detail, a .38 caliber firearm. Bullets recovered from multiple victims matched. This wasn't coincidence. This was one killer. Survivors and witnesses described a quiet man, non-threatening appearance, sudden shift to violence. Composite sketches were created, distributed widely. Though early in development at the time, investigators began forming a psychological profile. Organized offender, familiar with trail systems, comfortable approaching strangers. This wasn't impulsive violence. It was controlled, deliberate. Then, a breakthrough. A former girlfriend of Carpenter saw the composite sketch. Something clicked. She recognized him, reported him. Police began surveillance. Watching, waiting, and then, 14th to 15th May, 1981. At his home in San Francisco, officers moved in. The arrest was quiet, controlled. No resistance. Inside his home, investigators found evidence linking him to the crimes. The man who had terrorized Northern California was finally in custody. Mid-1984, Los Angeles trial. The first major trial took place in Los Angeles. The courtroom was tense, heavy, filled with victims' families and fear. The prosecution laid out a chilling narrative. Ballistics evidence, survivor testimony, pattern of killings. One of the most powerful moments came from Steve Hartle. He took the stand, described the attack, the moment his life changed forever. The jury listened in silence. The defense attempted to create doubt, questioning identification accuracy, evidence connections, mental state, but the weight of evidence was overwhelming. Verdict and sentence: guilty on multiple counts. And the sentence: death. Marin County trial, San Diego venue. A second major trial followed, moved to San Diego to ensure fairness. This trial had an unusual feature: two juries, one for determining guilt, one for sentencing. Again, the evidence held. Again, Carpenter was found guilty. Again, the sentence was death. Twice condemned, David Joseph Carpenter remains on death row. His appeals have stretched for decades, but the verdict has never changed. The impact was devastating. Families lost, children, partners, friends, lives that would never be lived. Communities changed. Trails once filled with laughter became symbols of fear. People avoided nature, avoided isolation. Even years later, the psychological scars remained. Carpenter had a long criminal history: violence, control, escalation. His crimes showed planning, patience, lack of empathy. He didn't just kill, he hunted, and he chose environments where victims were vulnerable. The Trailside Killer case reminds us of something unsettling. Danger doesn't always look dangerous. It can hide in ordinary faces, ordinary places, even in nature, where we feel most free, because sometimes the most peaceful paths lead straight into darkness. If this story kept you watching until the end, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more real stories that will leave you questioning everything. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram for exclusive clips and updates. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.